Guys, my phone keeps overheating, so if I die out, it's my phone overheating. We just had a little encounter here, so.
Okay, are you ready?
There we go. Let's
Ready
stay
to
in the
tell
shade.
Tell me your story, okay?
Oh, now I gotta tell a story. Now you put me on the spot, see?
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Lori from Indiana, and I want you guys to stop sending me. Hi, I'm Lori from Indiana.
Wait a minute.
Listen to her. Don't make me make a story. Just talk to me.
Hang on. Hey, you want to do this? Hang on. You can do it live, okay? We're going to finish. Okay, we're going to end that. Ending the live broadcast.
I don't want to be the one that gets interviewed. I want to do the interviewing. See? I talk all the time.
I am.
Okay, you ready?
Are you ready? You though?
Are you ready?
Me?
Yeah. Hold the camera so I can talk to her.
Swap.
Okay, press go live. Okay, here we go. What's your name?
Lori Arnold from Goshen, Indiana.
Wait. Okay.
You ready?
Go.
Hi, I'm Glenda Durham. We're down here for the Abbott campaign at the Chapman Building in Bowie, Texas. I'm interviewing Lori Goshen, and she is from
Lori from Goshen.
Lori from Goshen.
Oh, there we go.
She is not from Texas, but she came here because she definitely believes in the Republican values. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Lori.
Well, like you said, I'm from a little tiny town in Goshen, Indiana, and I'm here because of the border issue. And it has been affecting us for quite a few years. I've been living in the same city for 20 years, and we have just had an influx of illegals that have been coming over that time. And it's getting worse and worse in my city. We have crime going up, the drugs, prostitution. I mean, we have all kinds of we have gang issues now, and I've actually been threatened by people saying they're in the Mexican kid gang. So I mean, like it's gotten out of control, and they won't stand up. So I wanted to come to the border to show people what's going on.
We thank you.
And then I saw this was happening.
We thank you. All right, there you have it. You're live. Finish. Press finish.
Oh, we got more people. I'm going to come down to see that we got more people. Got my good buddy Eddie with us. You got your.
What's that?
Got your drink. I think I'm going to get
my
mine
big
in a
old
minute.
tea here.
I'm going to get mine in a minute here. Here, you want to hold this for me for a second? Just keep it that way. I'm going to grab a drink. Nice and cool.
Yeah, it is.
So, got more people down here. Let's see. This Oh, I gotta get this one. Sorry. I gotta get this one. Donkey pox. You know they're about ready to get us with the monkeypox thing, right? Yeah. All right, I gotta get out of the sun. My phone keeps dying. It's so hot.
Thank you.
Cottage Forest.
Oh, okay. Thank
Cottage
you very
Forest.
much.
Oh, that's nice. It's kind of cool. My phone's already died because of the heat.
Oh no, has it?
Yeah.
Okay, here, you ready?
Just stand over here.
We're going live. Okay.
So the folks who
Make sure my phone doesn't die. I'm gonna get back in the shade.
You mind if I hold it down and she can get it?
Huh? Oh yeah.
There you go. Thank you, sir.
There. Aha, we got the Second Amendment one.
Bam.
Love it.
You know, war can't take that away from us.
No, he
Here's
can't.
my shirt.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
From Texas on that side.
Very
Go.
good. Very good.
here's mine. Come on through.
Hey, y'all, move back a little bit for us so we can.
Sorry. Nope, not trying to help you. Sorry.
So did you say those roses were from one of the stores
Yes,
here?
over here. See Christy over there? She works at the cottage florist.
Oh, how nice is
Uh-huh,
that?
that's
Can I look
sweet.
at it? You put it up here so they can see it? Oh, those are really pretty. That was nice of her.
Come on in. Welcome here. I'm Brenda. Hey, Michelle. I know these are good. Oh my God, they're precious. Hi, we're glad to have you.
Anybody that would make up a name so that it sounds Hispanic to try and pander for the radio or wherever voters. I mean, that's the ultimate in disingenuous, you know?
It's everything he does is fake.
Anyone that would change the name they're going by to make people think
Yeah.
radio or whatever, you know. That's disingenuous.
Well,
Hi there, welcome. Hi, how are you?
Thanks for helping carry all this.
Hi y'all, welcome. Come on in. Thank you so much for coming out today. We appreciate you. Come on in. Thanks for joining us. You're welcome. Thank you. Hi there.
we are in Texas.
That's good. But then Jennifer is Francis. Oh, man.
Whatever.
That's okay. We don't know his name. Nobody.
No, you're fine.
I need a copy of one of those. I had your grandson's number, Kate. Oh, I'm sorry. I was, yeah, that's
How's the baby going?
what is his name? Rob.
But you have a grandson.
We have three. Welcome in. Nice to have you. I don't have any. Hi, welcome. Happy to have y'all.
Early S Dragons.
Is it hot again?
Yes, it keeps that. I took it out of the case though. That might help. Oh yeah, that should help. It might help.
And I'll ask them what their names are and why they're here. I'll let them tell you their story.
So Beto, we don't want him. James Gamble, here to support Abbott. Tell Beto he's a liar.
Well, there you have it. Come on down, downtown Bowie, to the Chapman Building. Support Abbott. Thank you.
And
You gotta get her sign over there.
My sign's horrible. Jim told me a little good information.
No, no to
I got his name.
not Beto.
Don't mind a bit.
God protects us.
Not Beto.
We're having problems because it's so high. He's in
Yes.
there. He's in
Like
there.
everybody else.
He's in there now.
But there are quite a few people here. Maybe they're all that Beto down there. They should be chanting Beto go home or something like that.
Just say no to Beto.
No to Beto. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Beto's gotta go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Beto's gotta go.
You don't speak no English?
Really?
Hey, hey, ho, ho. Beto's gotta go. You want to go back in the back
walk
and
around
see?
back.
Okay. Hey, are you going to be standing here for a bit?
Oh yeah, I guess so.
That's my dog in there. I just want to make sure nobody comes up and gets him. So I'm just
car
gonna
running?
walk right. Yeah, I got him in the air. So
okay.
I'm about ready to sit in there with him for a second.
Yeah,
I just want to walk this way a little bit, but I didn't want to leave him without at least somebody knowing that somebody should be taking him.
I've already claimed that.
Let's see if there's anybody back there.
I've been waiting for over a week now to get up.
Let's go check out the back real quick here. Oh, that's pretty cool. Look at that. I am a person who loves like graffiti and all that kind of shit. I love murals. Murals. Is there anything back there? Nobody's even back there?
No, I mean there's cars and stuff parked.
I'm surprised there's not like for him being here. No, I'm surprised there's not some kind of security over here. Hey guys. Hi guys. Well, so we're at the Beto O'Rourke is here, and thought we'd come out and say hi. And it looks like there's some people here protesting, so I got to be a part of this. They don't like Beto O'Rourke here in Texas. So. I like your shirt.
Oh, thank you.
I need that. Well, I had one kind of similar. My name is Lori, and it said, "What would Lori do?"
Yep.
Same thing. All right, go back. I had that guy watching Spike for a second, make sure nobody got in there and took him or nothing. Because we do have. What's the Royal Guard? Do you know?
Oh, I think.
I'm trying to look stuff.
Or the security bunch
I
like
gotta
that
get
guy.
out of the sun before my phone dies again. All right, we're back. Thank you.
I know it. I know
Coming in.
What was he saying?
Ah, he's talking about.
Are we allowed in?
Yeah.
Oh.
If anyone, yeah, you're
He better not be.
Oh,
Hey, Eddie. Eddie, I'm going to go in and record this thing. We can go in and sit down?
no, I'm good. I just.
No, I said we can.
Yeah, y'all going in there.
But if the VA has a backlog that's measured not in weeks, but in months, sometimes years, I want us to open up our... Not only will that be good for every veteran, it's going to be good for every single one of us. Before I came in here today, I knocked on doors throughout Bowie. I knocked on the door of a gentleman who said, you know, I'd love to come to your meeting today, but I have an adult disabled son who has severe intellectual disabilities. And it's just hard for me to leave him here. It'd be hard for me to come out to this meeting with him. He said, Beto, the wait line for state-supported services, if you have a medically complex child, a child with disabilities, on the anniversary, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, of the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act, is 18 years in the state, up to 18 years that you have to get in line to be able to get the resources that you need right now. Well, this gentleman says that he also lived in Colorado with his son who's disabled. And in that state, it used to be 18 years. They made marijuana legal. They used the tax receipts from the taxed sale of that controlled substance in that state, invested it in reducing the wait times for those with disabilities in the state. The wait time in Colorado has gone from 18 years down to 1 year. Imagine if we invested in our fellow Texans, especially those vulnerable, in that same way. We could really get things done. Another door that I knocked on was an older gentleman. And he said, my number one issue, Beto, is the fact that at the beginning of this pandemic, the hospital in this community closed down. And it means something to me, it means something to my wife, and he said, I'll tell you a very personal story. She had a stroke just after that hospital closed down. And she had to be airlifted in a helicopter, I think to Decatur or to some other community. And he said that could have been life or death for her. Luckily, she lived through that. We are grateful for it. Thank God for the care that she received in Decatur. But I should be able to get that here at home. Now, I understand from listening to you that maybe that hospital will reopen sometime this year, maybe in the next 4 or 5 months, maybe early in 2023. We certainly hope so. But we should be able to do better than just hope. Texas today, because of Greg Abbott, is losing out on $10 billion a year of Medicaid expansion money. These are your dollars, by the way, that you paid in to the federal government in the form of federal income taxes that are not coming back to this community right now to keep this hospital open. 24 hospitals in rural Texas have closed down just over the last decade. For most of that time, he was the governor of the state of Texas. For all of that time, he was in statewide elected office, lifted not a finger for a single one of us. You know what the result is? We're the least insured state in the United States of America. More kids are dying of diabetes in Texas than in any other state. We're 51st in the nation in the ability to see a mental health care provider. That means our county jails, just like here in Montague County, are the largest provider of mental health care services in this state today. Too many people with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, clinical depression, literally trying to get arrested on purpose to be taken to a county jail, the one place they are hopeful that they will be afforded any mental health care at all. It's immoral, it's unconscionable, it's unacceptable to me. I bet it's unacceptable to you, but we can solve that. We just have to take yes for an answer. As governor, I will expand Medicaid. Your property taxes, because right now, when that person who is not eligible for Medicaid because we haven't expanded it, whose suffering finally becomes too much to bear and takes themselves to the local hospital, gets that care, the outcomes are not going to be as good as they would have been otherwise. The care is going to be exponentially more expensive to provide because it's now more complex and complicated. And because they don't have a dime to their names and they're not insured, the bill gets passed to you, gets passed to me, gets passed to all of us in the form of higher property taxes. Expanding Medicaid will also reduce our property taxes. The best way that we can control Greg Abbott's rising inflation in the state of Texas. That's why together we've got to get this done. You all with me on this? I spoke at the outset about those who served this country, literally willing to give their lives for this democracy, for our way of life, for so much that so many have taken for granted, so much that our kids and grandkids who are here will be looking back at us in 2022 from the future, and they'll say, hey, Mom, Dad, Grandpa, Grandma, after 246 years of this experiment, which was the exception in world history, which is the exception on the planet today, did you all save it or did you lose it forever? Not only is it those service members, not only was it the civil rights and voting rights advocates and marchers who ensure that we have this democracy, it's that classroom teacher who brings together every kid regardless of income, of race, ethnicity, religion, any other difference between us. She is making democracy work in that classroom. And I tell you what, she is the life and death difference for so many of us in our ability to realize our potential and our promise. In this county today, so the school teacher here is underpaid by $15,500 a year against the national average. Not against the best paid teacher in America. Just to get to even, just to get to par, we're $15,500 down in Montague County. That is why I meet so many teachers and counselors and librarians and retired educators across the state who are working 2, 3 jobs in order to make ends meet, whom we stop in to grab a hamburger somewhere, the person serving it to me says, you know what, Beto, I took this job to support my habit of teaching kindergarten Monday through Friday. I shouldn't have to do this. You should pay me enough so that I only have one job, drawing forth that lifelong love of learning within the head of that child in front of me. Please make sure that you treat me with the respect that I deserve, that I earn. That's why, when we come together as Democrats, as Republicans, as independents, as Texans first and foremost, and win this election, we're going to pay those teachers in Montague County an additional $15,500 a year to make sure they're at least at even. They don't take a second job. We're going to listen to them when they say, hey, Beto, if you want me to connect with these kids, how about canceling the STAR test so I can focus on these children? We're going to make sure that every retired educator gets a cost of living adjustment every year that we have had it since 2004. We're going to do everything we can to keep you in the classroom, in that library, in that counselor's office, because we're losing on average 50% of teachers within their first 5 years of service in this state. My youngest, Henry, just completed 5th grade. He was there for all 9 months of it. Not a single one did he have a permanent classroom teacher. God bless the subs, but he and his classmates deserve the consistency and the predictability of that same person coming in day after day saying, hey, Henry, hey, classmates, I believe in you. I'm going to make sure that you rise to your full promise, you realize your full potential. That is more often than not the rule and not the exception across the state of Texas. So hear me right now. Teachers, educators, I've got your back. I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to make sure that we treat you with the respect that you deserve. That is why we are winning. One of the last things that I want to tell you before I get a chance to take your questions. As I have been traveling through rural Texas over these last 5 years, and even just over this week in communities like Pecos and Quanah and Pampa, and even when we're in Amarillo and Midland and Lubbock and folks are coming in from surrounding counties, what I'm hearing time and again is that our current government and our current governor is sleeping on these communities. He's taking you for granted. He thinks he's got your votes in the bank so far. I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know the last time he showed up here for a town hall meeting, took your questions, fought for your votes, tried to earn his position of public trust. And you know who pays the price at the end of the day? It's you. You're not getting the resources invested in your communities that you deserve. My Toyota Tundra can tell you a story about every pothole that I've driven over on my way through this community. TxDOT is sitting on $8 billion right now. TxDOT has $8 billion in the bank. Why aren't those $8 billion being spent in your community to make it more competitive for young people, for jobs, for investment, for capital? Why are we not investing in rural broadband internet so more people can get online? Try getting what you raise or what you grow to a market. Try finishing your education if you can't get online. Try finding a job or starting a business or attracting employees. If you're lonely and you're single, try finding a date if you cannot get online right now. It's really, really hard. But your community deserves what every other community is taking for granted right now. And I'll tell you a story from being in rural Texas, trying to tell this same story about broadband internet. Before I could get 2 sentences in Silverton, Texas, a gentleman raised his hand and he said, Beto, I'm old enough to have remembered when I was in first grade, 1936, and thanks to Congressman Lyndon Baines Johnson and President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, our town, which had not had electricity before, finally got wired for light. And what that meant to me as a first grader is that I could do my homework under electric light just like the kids in Dallas or New York or Tokyo or London, anywhere else around the world. What it said to me is that I mattered just as much as anyone else right now. And he said it wasn't a handout. We had to form a co-op through the REA. We had to meet the federal government and the state government halfway, and then we could have what no private provider would ever extend to us. Well, I'll tell you what your governor's doing right now. He has vetoed the Universal Service Fund, which is the next step of the REA. The USF is what subsidizes rural telephone and internet bills in this community and every part of rural Texas. As a result, your internet, your telephone bills have gone up anywhere from $25 to $100 a month. When you add to that the $20 billion increase in property taxes since Abbott took office, when you add to that the fact that this guy who could not keep the lights on when the temperature dropped last February in the energy capital of the world has jacked your electricity bills by $45 a month. Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, is the single greatest driver of inflation in our lives right now. We need a governor who's not going to look out for the corporations, the big dollar donors. He's going to look out for every single person in every single community, no matter how big city, no matter how rural county. All of us count the same in Texas when we win this election. We're bringing property taxes down. We're bringing utility bills down. We are refunding universal service funds, internet and telephone bills down. And we are wiring your community for speed so that you can get online without even having to think about it. That's what happens when we show up and fight for one another. Listen, I know the numbers. I know the probability. I know the odds. But as Han Solo said in Star Wars, never tell us the odds, right? What I know that's more important than any of that is you and all of us and our kids and the generations that follow that are counting on us at this defining, decisive moment of truth. Chances are, I'm going to take a big leap here, that we're not going to win Montague County in November. Maybe we crack 20%, I don't know. I'm a dreamer. What does matter is that we show up for one another. Because when we win in November, I'll be your governor. I'll be the governor for everyone who voted for Greg Abbott as well. And I want to make sure that I serve everybody equally, ready to hit the ground running. And when Democrats fail to show up in counties like Montague, then the Republican representatives and governor can take you for granted. They don't have to show up either. There's no contest, there's no fight, there's no trying to earn your vote. Ladies and gentlemen, I am trying to earn your vote. I'm also trying to earn your time and effort. Because over these next 3.5 months, we have the opportunity, each and every single one of us, to talk to, more importantly, to listen to our fellow Texans about what's most important to them, just as I did in your community earlier today. There are a couple of folks who are wearing these yellow vests. They will sign you up to volunteer, to knock on doors, to make phone calls, to even write letters. Imagine getting an artifact from another human being written in their own hand today in 2022. Makes a difference. Imagine a complete stranger knocking on your door and talking about the quality of our schools, the condition of our roads, the skyrocketing inflation under Greg Abbott, giving them a reason to vote in this next election. It's the most powerful way to connect with one another, and I'm counting on you. And since you all are in these yellow vests already, you might also want to work on these roads after we today. I don't want to ask too much of you. But this is a campaign by and for all of us. And I mean, even the folks who are outside with the Abbott signs and are chanting, the gentleman who showed up with his, I couldn't tell if it was an AK-47 or an AR-15, everyone is welcome, okay? Everyone is welcome. The person holding the Abbott sign, if you want to, we're going to give you the microphone to ask the first question. Great, we're going to give it to you.
Here's one question.
Wait, let me, I'm going to give you the microphone so we can all hear you. Okay. Closing thought. Folks are going to ask you, who weren't able to join us today, I know that you went out and saw Beto. What's this guy about? And I want you to share with them what I just shared with you. He's for world-class public schools by getting behind our public school educators. He's for investment in the infrastructure in our communities. He's for bringing down inflation in the state of Texas. He's for expanding Medicaid so we can make sure that this hospital reopens sooner rather than later. He wants to make sure that the best jobs in America are held in Texas, and not just in some cities in Texas, but in every part of Texas. Imagine that as your governor and contrast it with what you have today. Someone who wants to tell you who we're supposed to be afraid of, who we're supposed to hate, whose rights we're going to take away next. Right now in Texas, women cannot make their own decisions about their own body, decide their own future. When we did, everyone had their own decisions about their own body and their own future. In Texas right now, we have statewide leaders who are threatening to do away with marriage equality and may even follow Justice Clarence Thomas's lead in putting contraception on the chopping block, as well as same-sex intimacy. In our Texas, love who you want to love, be who you are. Let's get together and do the big things for the people of Texas. Thank you all for coming out today. Looking forward to your questions, to your comments, to your suggestions, to your ideas. Here we go. You're good, you're good. Cynthia Connell's right here, white t-shirt, black cap. She's going to take the microphone to the Abbott supporter first. Ma'am, we welcome your question. Thank you for being here. We're going to try to get as many voices and comments into the conversation as possible. Please.
Okay, my first question, you talked about teacher salaries. I'm a retired teacher, I'm a principal. I subbed last year. I'll be teaching GED in the next fall, and I believe in that. But talk about their salaries. What are salaries like school boards? What is your solution?
It's a great question. First of all, thank you for your service as a principal, as a sub, as an educator. I love you. And this is an excellent question. The question was, right now, salaries are governed by our school boards. And these trustees who didn't do it for the money or the fame or the glory, because they don't get a single dime from us in salary. They do this freely of their own volition, and they get a lot of grief for doing that. They're charged with setting the tax rate. And as you all know from paying your taxes after getting this last appraisal, your school board sets the highest, gets the most money from the community, far more typically than the county, than the city, than any other property taxing entity. We force these trustees to decide whether they're going to ask more from you as a homeowner or a renter and maybe price you out of this community, or pay those educators more. They're in an impossible situation. It doesn't have to be this way. As governor, I'm going to work with Republicans who have proposed bills that will up the state's share of education spending. Right now, the ratio is property taxpayer pays 60% of the bill, the state of Texas pays 40%. In the good old days, it was 50-50. Representative Guerin, a Republican from North Texas, has proposed returning to the 50-50 ratio. I will sign that bill into law to allow state resources to fund public education, including teacher salaries. Thank you for asking the question.
Here's one more follow-up.
Of course.
The other one, you talked about our streets and the potholes in our town. And I have lobbied, I have ran for office, I have been quite vocal about funding that. That comes from our city council. The beautiful streets that you see here are from TxDOT, those are highways, so the state of Texas put those down. The rest of the state, the rest of the streets have been let go. What is your solution to make city councils act responsibly and fix our streets?
Great question. A little volume, there we go. So two things. A lot of these streets in our communities, can you bring that volume down a little bit? A lot of these streets in our communities are TxDOT streets, and some of the main thoroughfares in El Paso. Let's hold TxDOT accountable for their responsibility. I mentioned this earlier, in case you all missed it, they got $8 billion in reserve in the bank. We don't need it in the bank, we need it in our streets. In addition, we are receiving as a state a tremendous amount of infrastructure money, and these are our tax dollars, our federal income tax dollars. It's not free, it's not coming out of the sky, it doesn't grow on trees. We worked hard for it, paid it up to DC. It is coming back to us right now. Not every community, I don't need to tell you all this, gets treated equally by the state of Texas when that money is spent. There is wider latitude under this federal spending to spend beyond just the TxDOT approved projects. I'm going to make sure that that extends to city streets where we don't have the property tax base to be able to support it. I'm going to ensure that is water systems and wastewater systems. We have more water systems from which you cannot drink in the state of Texas than any other. I'm going to also invest that in broadband internet. Again, we have the resources, we need the political will, and we need a governor who's going to look out for each and every single community, including right here in the Mountain County. Thanks for your question. All right, Cynthia.
Squeeze my way in.
You can just throw that microphone and catch it.
Decatur, Texas. I'm going to do a shameless plug. We were fortunate enough to buy the old Bowie administration building, and one of our dreams is August 1st, Evergreen Life Services is going to open up where we have adult daycare centers in Bowie.
Right on.
Hopefully someday we have on-campus living for these adult individuals who need help and stuff. So we're so excited about that. August 1st, they're opening.
Thank you for saying that. Such good news. You mentioned the family who has the adult son with disabilities and their struggle to find placement for their son anywhere nearby. And it's really tough. You know, you've got to work from home when you cannot find that placement. The economic opportunity we can unleash by investing in things like this is extraordinary. So thank you for leading that.
It's only 2 blocks away from here, so.
Wonderful.
The second thing is, could you tell us about the Fourth Crusade, about Wilkes and Dunn, and how we're going to stop the funding, because they almost took Wise County in this last election. Thank you.
Give me a little bit more on this. I'm not sure that I understand the
Well,
question.
you know who Wilkes and Dunn are. There's no doubt about it. They're spending millions and
On
millions
schools,
and
trying to
millions of
defund
dollars.
public schools, yeah.
Yeah, and it can't continue that the amount of money they're spending to have their own personal agenda in Texas. It's called the deep pockets of Texas.
There was a CNN report the other night. There's been some follow-up reporting through Texas media about the millions that have been spent to defund our public schools. This is the most nonpartisan issue that I've run into. I remember being in Henrietta, Texas, going into Stewart's Sweet Shop because I'd been promised the best cinnamon roll I would have ever eaten, and it was, lived up to its billing. Sat down at a table with a family who recognized me because I've been on the news in Wichita Falls the night before. all of them to a person Republican. I don't know that any of them to a person would ever vote for me. But the mother of that family was an educator. And she said something to the effect, this is a paraphrase, Beto, if you allow them to defund my public school classroom, take the taxes that I pay away from those kids that I have served and sacrificed so much for in the form of a voucher and send that to a private school, I will hunt you down. I will find you. And I will get you. That really stoked some fear in my belly about letting these school teachers and educators in public schools down. There is a very concerted effort in our already badly underfunded schools to take what remains away from them. And for our rural communities, you know, they talk about vouchers. They say, hey, every kid should have a choice to go to a private school if they want. So we'll take your tax dollars out of that public school classroom, send it to a private school. Well, maybe that argument can make some sense in some cities. Some in our rural communities do not even have a private school where that voucher money could be used. So we'd be taking the money out of these public school districts to go to Dallas or Houston or Austin or somewhere else, anywhere else but Montague. So we've got to fight this effort, and we've got to fight for our school board trustees. And it does not matter, no me importa, if these trustees are Republicans or Democrats. I know it's a nonpartisan position, but we're going to put the community first. As long as they care about public schools and want to fully fund them, let's have their backs. Thank you for asking me. Appreciate it.
I'm really proud of it. But I wanted to ask you, what are your views on the border right now?
We need to have a legal, orderly, safe way for people to come to, can you turn this one down? For people to be able to come to this country to work, to come to this country to join family, to come to this country if they're seeking asylum, and they cannot go back to where they were raising their kids because their kids will be killed or raped or something horrific happening to them. We don't have that right now. And we all know that, Democrat, Republican alike. You go down to Del Rio, you go down to Eagle Pass, as I have done. You live in El Paso, Texas, as Amy and I do, where we're raising our 3 kids. It's not orderly. People are not doing this legally. They're coming in between our ports of entry. Most of them want to do exactly what I just described. They want to work, they want to join family, they want to seek refuge in this country of refugees. But there are some who want to traffic illegal drugs like fentanyl, which will kill our fellow Texans. There are some who want to traffic in human beings, and we must remain vigilant against that. That's why we need solutions and not stunts at our border. Right now you've got a governor who will do everything in his power to demagogue and make you afraid of these immigrants coming in, telling you to defend yourselves and to take matters into your own hands. That's a direct quote from Greg Abbott on the eve of the El Paso shooting, where a guy drove from North Texas to my hometown, slaughtered 23 people, saying he came to repel the invasion of Hispanics who are coming to take over this state. Instead of that, how about a Texas-based guest worker program? If you want to come to this country and earn money, and you want to work in the cotton gin in Roscoe, 46 jobs in that gin. Not a single person born in Roscoe, born in Sweetwater, born in the United States of America wants to work a single one of them. I talked to the manager there. The only people who are up for the job are those who come here for the privilege of producing the fiber that we all depend on, that we're wearing on our backs right now. There's got to be a legal way to connect them with that. That gin owner, Republican as they come. The Lamesa cotton grower that I met, also very Republican. I'll never win his vote. Doesn't matter. What he told me was so important. Same deal. Beto, I need a legal immigration system so that I can keep this going. If I can't, I'm selling this. It's going to get subdivided. I won't be able to pass it on to my kids and my grandkids. Please make sure that we do the right thing. So as governor, we're going to do the right thing, working with Republicans, Democrats alike, to set up a Texas-based guest worker program. We're also going to do everything we can to lead this nation to do the right thing in reforming our immigration laws for the first time since Ronald Reagan was the president of the United States of America. We're going to say, listen, in Mexico right now, you want to join your family, it's a 20-year wait to get in the back of the line and do this the right way. We're going to make sure that we lift these caps per country. And if you want to come here to do better for yourself, and more importantly, do better for all of us, we're going to make sure that it is a very safe, legal, easy, orderly process to be able to come here. So there's no incentive to jump that line or jump in between ports of entry. When we do that, when we take care of 99% of the people who are trying to come here to work, to join family, to seek asylum, we can focus on the fewer than 1% who want to traffic things in here that are going to harm us. We will be so much more effective in saving the lives of our fellow Texans and keeping this state safe. Thank you for asking the question. Appreciate it.
I'd like to say thank you for standing up for the children at the news conference in Utah.
Thank you.
Following the recent Supreme Court decision overturning the New York gun law, what do you propose to ban weapons of war that I don't think the Second Amendment includes?
Thanks for asking the question. You know, I mentioned at the outset, there are things we're going to agree on, there are things that we're going to disagree on. That's the beauty and the nature of a democracy. The goal is to make progress, to take action, to find some consensus, to be able to move forward. On the Second Amendment, we all believe in it. We all want to defend it. Most of us, but not all of us, agree that the Second Amendment is not unlimited, right? Justice Scalia, one of the most conservative jurists to ever sit the highest court in the land, said that in his Heller decision. Said, listen, we should be able to have the individual right to own firearms. That cannot be abridged, but it can't be any kind of firearm for any kind of person. We've always decided as a country that we'll draw a line somewhere. In the 1930s, when there was a problem with people using automatic machine guns to slaughter each other on our streets, we as a country made it nearly impossible to own an automatic machine gun. How many school shootings have you heard about with fully automatic machine guns? It's been zero since the 1930s. There's a reason why. It's also why you can't have a grenade launcher on the streets here in Bowie, because we just decided that's too much firepower for any one person to hold. The Second Amendment is not unlimited. I happen to believe, given the fact that in Uvalde now more than 2 months ago, those 19 kids were shot at point blank range with a weapon that was originally designed for use in war. Now, I was listening to somebody who studied the history of this, and she said when the AR-15 was first designed and engineered and sold to the United States military, the intention was that you would be able to penetrate an enemy's helmet at 500 yards and kill them. What we know is that that high impact, high velocity round, when it meets the head of a child or any of us at close range, liquefies everything inside. Your arteries, your soft tissue, your organs, you bleed to death before we can get to you and save your life. That's what it's supposed to do. That's why I think it belongs on a battlefield. That's why I don't think we should have AR-15s or AK-47s in our community. That's my point of view. But I mentioned the goal here is to make progress and not only to stand on principle. I owe you exactly how I feel on this issue. I owe you the truth. I owe you my vision for a safer Texas. But I also, more importantly, owe you progress and action. And more than anyone, I owe those parents in Uvalde who to a person have asked me to make sure that their kids did not die in vain, that no other family has to go through what they are going through today and every day for the rest of their lives. We owe them action. So here are some areas where I've heard my fellow Texans, gun owners, non-gun owners, Republicans, Democrats, be able to find some common ground. What if we raise the age of purchase of an AR-15 to AK-47 to 21 from 18 years old right now? Might save some lives. What if we have a universal background check in Texas? When someone says, hey, Beto, we already have a universal background check, I say, we have a selected background check. You go into a gun store, you'll go through a background check. You want to buy from a private seller, no background check, and it is perfectly legal, although not okay, in the state of Texas. The shooter in Midland, Odessa, who took 8 lives, went into a gun store, was refused because he couldn't pass a background check. They work. But because we didn't have a universal background check, bought from a private seller, used that AR-15 against the people in his community, taking 8 lives, almost taking the life of a baby girl that he shot in the face. Miraculously, she survived that. No one should have gone through that. Universal background checks could have saved lives. Here's another idea, a red flag law. What that means is that if you have a firearm and you're threatening to shoot yourself, to shoot your wife, to go into school and shoot your classmates, we can intervene through a due process before it is too late and return that firearm to the home once all legitimate concerns have been satisfied. That shooter who came to El Paso and killed 23 people, when he ordered that AK-47, his mom called the Allen Police Department and said, something's not right here. I don't know what my son needs with this much firepower. She may have also shared other concerns about his state of mind. Because we do not have a red flag law, the police said, sorry ma'am, you're on your own. We might have prevented that shooting. The Uvalde shooter was sending signs in every direction so bad that some of his friends called him the school shooter before he took that AR-15 into that school and shot the kids who attended that school. So red flag laws, raising the minimum age of purchase, universal background checks, they will not stop every instance of gun violence. Let us anticipate that argument from the other side. But they will stop more of them, save more lives, reduce the suffering of these parents who are going through, literally, we can only imagine what right now. We as Texans can defend the Second Amendment and do a better job of protecting the lives of the people in our lives. Thank you so much.
That's more interesting. That's more interesting. Is she coming out? She's more interesting. I wanted to get that. Damn. That was more interesting than anything he had to say. Right? Damn. Hi, sunshine.
That's what America's about.
Yeah, whatever.
That's what they want to do. That's their problem.
Vilify and demagogue immigrants who are in our communities. My hometown of El Paso, a quarter of those with whom I live were born somewhere else. And I love the fact that they chose us. They planted their flag in El Paso, Texas. We are one of, if not the safest cities in the United States of America, not in spite, but because those immigrants live in my community. So, what if we had a path for you to gain full citizenship? You're already killing it right now in everything that you're doing. Imagine if you had no more obstacles in your way. Pursuing higher education, pursuing a great job with a union, pursuing the ability to get financing to start a business, to hire more people in this community, and grow the economy of Montague County. What you're able to do over the course of your life will benefit all of us. And it's ridiculous that with hundreds of thousands of dreamers in the state of Texas, we are not leading the charge to fully legalize your presence here. And I would argue legalize the presence of your parents if they're also here without status, without citizenship, without a path to be able to get there. Look, I'm compelled by just my experience in El Paso, in meeting so many wonderful people like you. But if we only look to our cold self-interest, this is the right thing to do. It will bring billions of dollars of new economic activity to the state of Texas. So as governor, we are going to be your champion and make sure that we have a legal path to citizenship for you and every other DACA recipient in the state. Thanks for being here.
All right, we're trying to make sure it's up. Good.
As a congressman, what did you do to make the country better?
Thank you for the question. The question for those who didn't hear it, as a congressman, what did I do to make the country better? I asked for and thankfully received a position on the House Veterans Affairs Committee. At a town hall meeting just like this, I heard from a veteran who had what is called an other than honorable discharge. What he told me is that in addition to the god-awful suicide rate amongst the general veterans population, those who have an other than honorable discharge were taking their lives at twice the rate. That's because the status of their discharge precluded them from being able to go into the VA and be treated for the traumatic brain injury, the post-traumatic stress disorder, the military sexual trauma that they returned to this country with after service. So I wrote a bill called the Honor Our Commitment Act to make sure they could get into the VA. I was a Democrat in a Republican majority institution, so it was going to be hard to get that passed unless I could find Republican support. To earn that Republican support, I had to amend that bill and take in the ideas of my Republican colleagues. So I couldn't get my version of perfect, but I could get better than what we had. Mike Kaufman, the Republican colleague with whom I worked on that bill, and I made our case on the floor of the House of Representatives, just like we're doing right here today. And we said, listen, is it going to cost us more to support our veterans? Yes, but we should pay any price given what they have done for us. Should there be a consequence for the status of their discharge? And the answer is yes, but it cannot be their lives. We got that bill passed 435-0 in the House. We got it passed in the Senate. Donald J. Trump, the man with whom I agree on almost nothing, signed that bill into law, and we improved access for mental health care for veterans in Texas and across the country. That's one example of working across the aisle to make this a better country. Thank you very much for the question.
I need to correct you on the 1934 gun law on machine guns. A citizen can own one.
That's right.
Okay. You didn't mention that.
Yeah, and let me clarify. Gentleman said that that 1934 law around machine guns, it did not ban them. It made it prohibitively expensive for most people to own one. There's a lot of licensing, a lot of background checks, a lot through the tax code that you have to go through in order to have that. So thank you for clarifying that point.
Thank you for coming to Bowie.
Thank you, sir. All right, we have more questions, more comments, more ideas, more suggestions. Yes, sir.
Thank you again. Thank you again for humility. I am so proud of you. I am proud of your courage, your willingness to stand up for children in this state. I just want to make one comment. I am ready for someone to kick the NRA out of Texas, drag them, kick it
We need a governor, we're owed a governor who cares more about you and your family than any special interest group, any political action committee, any lobby, any other interest, but you and your family. For the governor to have addressed the NRA convention 3 days after the Uvalde shooting, for him not to have attended a single funeral, for these families that I'm reaching out and talking to say they have not heard from him in the 8 weeks since their children were taken from him. For him not to have changed a damn thing in this state before our kids walk into these classrooms. In my case, it is next week. My 15, my 14, my 11-year-old are all walking into public school classrooms on August 1 in the El Paso Independent School District. And despite the largest mass shooting in Texas history of our children, not a single thing has changed to improve the likelihood that they're going to make it through this next school year. We need a governor who's going to stand up and fight for us. Thank you. There we go.
Yes. I have never heard a politician ever discuss one class of people, and that is paralyzed people that didn't get it through the service. There may be a wreck or an accident. And even though we have a governor that's paralyzed, he doesn't seem to do anything for other paralyzed people. And I thought it was very wrong of him to approve raising wish somebody would look out for the paralyzed people, because most of them are pretty good, or they get shot or something. But they don't have the benefits that the people in the service have. So we need something for them. And I'm here today because I want to give you personally my donation to you.
So much. I really appreciate it. Incredibly kind. Thank you for being here. Thank you for elevating. You just said it. Elevating a group of people in Texas who never really get the attention. You know, I mentioned serving on the House Veterans Affairs Committee. It was the easiest committee in the House to get on. In my first year, I was like third in seniority on the committee. Now, why is that? It's not because veterans are unimportant, but it's because there are no political action committees connected to veterans. There's no leadership ladder that you can climb out of that committee like you can on energy and commerce or ways and means or the high-profile marquee committees in the House. It's not good for your career. It's not good for your bank account. It just happens to be good for the most important people in our communities. So we were able to do a world of good on that committee, in part because no one else wanted to be there. Now, you talk about those who have disabilities in the state of Texas, those who are paralyzed specifically. I mentioned this is the anniversary of the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and yet in Texas, it is one of, if not the hardest states in the union to get the kind of care that you need. I mentioned that 18-year wait list for Texans with disabilities who need state-supported services. For those with mental health care challenges, we're 51st in the nation after every single state and Washington, D.C. I mentioned the difficulty of the gentleman here with the adult son in finding an assisted living community. What does that say about us? How we treat some of the most vulnerable in our midst. When you add to that, Child Protective Services is overseeing 32,000 children in the worst-run foster care program in America, where 100 children lost their lives in this state since the year 2020. Federal judge 6 years ago said, Governor Abbott, in case you have not noticed, these kids emerged from this program more damaged than when they entered. Just in January of this year, she said it has gone from bad, where it was 6 years ago, to worse, where it is today. I mentioned these kids in the classroom, whether it's Texans with disabilities, Texans in the foster care program, Texans in our classrooms. These are the people who don't have the money or the political influence or the stroke to get the attention of our current governor. That's why we've got to elevate their voices, fight on their behalf, and turn this around by winning this election. You've got my commitment, and with your contribution and support, I know that we're going to be able to do this. So thank you for being here today. Thank you. Cynthia says 3 more.
Hi, everyone. I cannot thank you enough for being here. It means the world. So I don't really have a question. I just kind of have a statement. When I was in 5th grade, which is, gosh, over 10 years ago, I'm 21 now, there was an active shooter situation on my campus. I went to a private Christian school. And our teacher locked us in, we closed the blinds, we flipped the tables over, and you're just sitting there wondering, am I going to make it through this? Something that I had was time. How many of those children had time in Uvalde? None. They had no time. Those bullets easily can rip through a door. So I 100% am with you. There is no reason that a civilian needs to have an AR-15 or an AK-47. And I get it. We're in Texas. Texas is very proud of their guns. Do you need them to hunt? I don't really believe in that. But right now, I think we need to raise that age, because how many of those shootings have had a person 21 or younger? It's mainly been 18 or 19 years old. So if we raise that age, it's going to help drastically. And I, for one, do not want to see my children walk into a school and think that might be the last time I see them. I want to make sure that they're safe and they're taken care of, and I know with you they will be.
what if discussion if he doesn't come home from work, and that terrifies me because we're high school sweethearts, and looking back on high school, like the worst I had to worry about was bullying, not am I going to make it out of school alive. And hearing him say like, oh, we have optimal safety here at my school, just having that end of life discussion before he starts teaching is breaking my heart. And hearing him say like, I will gladly take a bullet for my kids, that shouldn't have to be, it should be like, oh, I'm going to go out and buy this for my classroom, I'm going to buy this for my classroom. It's not, how am I going to safely fortify my classroom to basically like a bunker to keep my kids safe. And I just want to know, like, how are you going to keep my fiance safe so I don't have to worry about getting a text message to school you're saying, this is it, I love you, please be safe. Because I don't want to have to deal with that.
Thank you for being here, and through you, I want to thank your husband for teaching and being willing to go into the classroom at a time that it's so hard for us to retain and to attract educators, not the least of which is the problem of safety and these potentially end-of-life discussions that we're all having. Please tell him that I'm behind him, that I support him. I'll do everything I can. We're hearing from educators, from parents, from kids all over the state. We were in Lubbock a few days ago, and a gentleman, gun owner, conservative, stood up in the meeting and he said, my 9-year-old going into this next school year knows the classroom where he'll be taught. He has these windows in the classroom, they're the kind of crank windows that we have in some of our older homes. He knows which cranks are stuck, he knows which cranks still work. He's got his eye on the cranks that still work. That's the window he's going out. And he said, I've told him, you do not hide under your desk, you don't go into the closet, you don't hope they're not going to shoot you, you get the hell out that window as fast as you can. I met another teacher in San Antonio. She said her 14-year-old daughter asked her, are you going to die for your students like those 2 teachers in Uvalde did? Or are you going to try to save your life for all of us here at home? Teachers who say they feel guilty because they're chemistry teachers, they've got these big lab tables, they can hide behind them. They say the English teacher, the math teacher, the social studies teacher doesn't have this kind of protection. I feel lucky that I do. These are the most screwed up conversations for us to be having. That we're accepting this as our future, the fortune of our kids. I'm glad that so many of you are so angry about the status quo. There is nothing inherently violent or evil or wrong with us as Texans. We don't want to go out there and shoot each other up or harm each other or take the lives of our fellow children. We have just thus far lacked the political will in those in the highest positions of power and public trust to stand up to the NRA and the gun lobby and actually do something that's going to save lives. I promise you, I'll stand up to all of them. I'll always stand up for you, for your husband, for the kids in his class. The Second Amendment issues that we talked about, listening to local school boards and administrators and teachers and parents and kids. You know your campus is better than I ever will. If you say you need something to keep those kids safe, in addition to upgrading and updating our gun laws, let's follow your lead and partner with you. If the current governor of the state of Texas says, as he did the day after the Uvalde shooting, this is a mental health care issue. That's what he said. You know what he did the month before Uvalde? He took $211 million out of the state's mental health care budget when we were already 51st in the nation. Not only will we bring $10 billion in through Medicaid spending, we're going to plus up in every way we can. So mental health, school security, ensuring that we have gun laws that protect the Second Amendment and keep our kids safe. We are doing it all on behalf of your husband, every educator, and most importantly, every kid in every classroom. Thanks for having me. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for the veterans so much. As I'm going the school voucher route, we have gone to private prisons. Now, that's a festering sore on our country and our state. We use this for mental health care as much as anything. That's where your mental health people go. So the state needs to take responsibility for the prison system. And just a thought.
Great thought here. Thank you for your service. Thanks for being here. So the question's about private prisons. And there's a trend here, folks, under Greg Abbott. Not only do we have private prisons, not only is he trying to take your public school tax dollars and send them to private schools. CPS problem I mentioned with the 32,000 kids in the foster care program, some of whom tonight will be sleeping in CPS offices despite the best efforts of those heroic CPS caseworkers who are giving it their best. Well, he's privatizing child care through CPS, sending these kids very often to private providers as well. These three functions, public education, denying somebody their liberty through the criminal justice system, and taking care of foster kids who cannot be with their families, that's not in the interests of private providers. We should not be looking to a profit incentive to make sure that these folks are treated with respect that they deserve. This is a responsibility of the state of Texas. This country, I know you all know this, it bears repeating, this country locks up more people than any other country on the face of the planet. Whatever you think about China, or Russia, or Iran, or North Korea, we put more of our own behind bars than any of them do. And the state of Texas puts more people behind bars than any other state in the union. It costs us an exorbitant amount to do this. We do it for every manner of offense, including possession of marijuana. I mentioned that that's already legal in most of the rest of the country. Well, guess what? When you've got private prisons, whose bottom line depends on more prisoners' heads in more of their beds, they are going to lobby day and night to continue to keep marijuana and cannabis criminalized so that they can make money on arresting people who otherwise should be raising their families, going to school, starting businesses, or working their jobs. We're going to end, if I have anything to do with it, private prisons in the state of Texas to remove that profit incentive and start doing smart things on criminal justice, focused on keeping our families and communities safe and making sure that we have laws that make sense with our values. Thank you for being here. Thank you all so much for being here today. Cynthia is going to go up here and take a picture of everyone. Do one group shot for our family Christmas card this year. I'm just going to get right here in the mix, and then if anybody wants to come say hello afterwards, we'll hang around right by this great Texas flag. Cynthia, you tell me where to be, okay? Can you get it on that wide angle?
Oh, my legs hurt. Standing so long. Oh, everybody's leaving. No, keep going. I could hear y'all inside.
You could?
Oh yeah, I love it. Especially when they open the door. But we can still hear you. Especially the honking and stuff. Okay, so Beto O'Rourke is still in there. We're just gonna come out for a little break, but looks like everybody is kind of coming out of here. I asked him a question. I had a very serious question.
I'm sure there were lots of people with questions.
I know. There's too many.
The cool thing about it is you're all right to support him, and I'm all right to support who I support. It's just I don't agree with anything he does. I mean, and he represents the left. He represents the Democrats and what they're wanting to do to this country. So I don't want to hear anything he has to say.
And that's where I think we make our mistakes. It's because if we don't listen to each other,
I've
if
listened
we
and
don't
I've read too.
understand that, just that I have an independent voted for
Yes, ma'am.
Republicans, I voted for Democrats,
Yes,
I voted for an independent.
Your voice is low, and I really wanted to get this because you're saying some good stuff.
Well, thank you.
No,
But-
she is.
She
She's
is.
saying,
But
yeah,
I
she is.
just, you know, I've never voted a straight ticket in my life. I have always looked for character
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then capability, and conviction's always been last. And I just feel like where we are now, instead of looking at each other as wanting the best for this country, but looking at it from doing it differently.
Right.
You're not my enemy.
No,
you're
ma'am.
not.
No,
You're not
no, I don't-
evil. You're not a devil. But I mean, there are plenty of us that are stirring that pot, that are making it be that you're a devil or I'm a devil. You know, that there's no common ground, and we have just got to listen to each other, because I honestly think there is some common ground.
There is.
And
You're right.
we
There's
do
common
need to
ground.
take care of our veterans, and he did have some valuable information, and when he was a congressman, the bill that he got passed that did help our veterans. You know, they're
I get that, but I'm talking about current situation now. When our country is being, I mean, I hate to say it, overrun by illegal immigrants. And I mean, we're taking and we're using funds, whatever you want to call it. I mean, obviously I'm not super educated, but you know, using the funds and whatnot, and we're taking care of these illegals better than we are our own citizens, and I can't get behind that, man.
I just,
You know,
I
and I know I think there should be a way that we could do both, but it's just not it's not happening. I mean, when
can just say that there's not the political will for us to do both things. The powers that be aren't wanting us to be able to do that, because I agree with you completely about the veterans, and I think that there's plenty of room to be able to take care of everyone that needs taken care of. If we follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, we're all our neighbors, we're all our
You follow the teachings of Jesus Christ? So you believe in abortion?
I believe that a woman has a right to choose.
To choose to
and I
kill her
believe,
baby?
And I believe that I believe that we all make our peace with God. He gives us the opportunity to make choices, and we square those choices when our day comes to meet our Maker. And we're not to judge each other on choices that we make in this world.
But killing someone is definitely not a choice of
Let
Jesus
me
Christ.
ask you this: do you believe in the death penalty?
I do.
So does Jesus.
So did Jesus.
Kill them all.
Do you know how many people were murdered? That God did not want living?
Well, that was.
I believe that they're put on a trial, and they go before a trial, and it's held, and they're guilty. Yes, I do. But a baby inside a person's body is not put on trial. He's not given a choice.
No, I know that.
But you can't call yourself a Christian and believe that at the same time, man.
Well, today with Christian nationalism being what it is, maybe Christian
It's
isn't.
the Bible. It's what the Bible says.
I follow the teachings of Jesus. I will just say that I follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, which tells me to love my neighbor, and my neighbor is everyone, and to not judge.
Your neighbor is that baby.
And well, if you're Jewish, you're that baby, that embryo, that
human being.
Human
You can
being
see a
that's
face,
developing. Well, not at 6 weeks. Not at 6 weeks.
They have a
It
heartbeat
is.
at 6 weeks.
No,
maybe.
they don't. They are just.
It's a person.
Well, yes, it is a person in development.
I say human. If we all just admit that it's a human life, at the from wherever it starts, from the very beginning, it's a human. It's not a cat.
The
cow,
day of conception, there's a spark.
There's
that
something.
spark is from the Lord Jesus Christ, and that spark is the life. That's his blood. That's it. Him going into that. That's where you create. You have your soul.
Well, and you know, we just, this is just going to be an area where we're just not gonna. I firmly believe that a woman should have that autonomy over her own body, and that good, bad, or indifferent, that's what she
That's
should.
where we come down in America here is that, well, like you guys are talking
But
about
what
Christian
is a
stuff, and
woman?
I'm saying, I know, and I'm saying I'm not a Christian, so now we've got another perspective, you know, so we're all Americans, and we all come at, like, let's say this issue, abortion, a little bit differently, and so the question is, and I'm not saying one word, I'm saying the question is, how do we all come together and find out what's best for everybody? Like, what's best? How do we, on every issue, how do we put Americans first? Americans here. I'm not telling you which way I go. I'm just asking that question.
Yeah. Well, my
Because we
concern
aren't all Christians,
was
you
for
know?
what she was telling me, that she believes in Christ,
Right.
and she also believes in abortion, and that can't be the same thing.
That's
It's
picking
impossible.
and choosing your parts of the Bible. The whole Bible is true. Yeah, if you don't just do one part of it, you do the whole
But
Bible.
that's why I choose the side I choose. That's my biggest thing. And you know, open border policies, funding our police department. I mean, I just
Well, even Christians, though, if you look at the different religions, Christianity kind of encompasses a lot of religions. So you look at some religions, and they actually don't even want you to use contraceptives. I mean,
Well,
like,
I'm
so
just gonna
that's
say-
why, like,
that Christ is
Like
my savior,
the Catholics,
and I'm a
they
king.
don't-
see, and that's why I say everybody has to come
They
together
don't
and just
And I
like, talk
respect
this stuff out.
your right to come up here and do this. I'm not trying. I'm more concerned for
Yeah.
your soul.
We need to have these talks, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. We have to have these talks.
I know. I believe in my whole heart that Jesus has forgiven me my sins, and I work every day at being the best representative of His on this earth. And that means
Hallelujah.
loving us all, caring about us
And we
all.
don't love someone because they make that choice to have
Right.
We love them
all-
because they make that choice.
Well, I'm going to love you whether you make the good or bad or indifferent. I'm going to love you. I'm going to
That's
do
what
my
it
best
should
to
be.
love you.
I'm a hugger. Can I get this? Oh, wonderful. Thank you. And I love your pin.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was nice talking to you. Thank you.
Somebody else.
Thank you, because we need more people to do this. What you're doing is just coming and talking to people that don't agree, maybe agree with you, but because it's very important. That's what's wrong. You said it earlier to my friend. That's what's wrong, is that we all think the other side or the other person is evil because of their political. No, not you, but I'm saying a lot of us. We are hateful. We feel like the other people hate us, and we don't.
Yeah, that lady came out here and called us racist and homophobic.
Yeah, and see,
That's
she
the
was just.
farthest.
And she started jumping up and down.
I
and her
saw her.
That's the
face.
farthest thing from what I believe.
Yeah,
I
but people
know-
just disagree and they have to talk.
And I know in your hearts of hearts, we believe what we believe. And we just have to love each other, and we just have to care about each other, and we have
What was
to be
your name? Your
respectful.
just first name?
Kara.
Karen?
My name is Kara.
Karen?
Kara.
Karen. I was gonna say Karen's a bad name to have right
Oh,
now.
yes, yeah,
I was gonna say
Karen
Karen.
is
I was gonna say, wow, I got a Karen that's actually making sense over here.
No,
Uh-oh.
it's
We gotta take
Kara.
that
It's
Kara.
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 Yeah,
At least
Kara
you didn't
Lee.
say Alexa.
Thank you, Kara.
Thank you all.
Yes.
It was
Man,
fun.
you have a good day.
God bless you all.
God bless you, too.
There.
You have a good day.
Love you.
Yeah.
Love you all.
Uh-huh.
Be good. See ya.
See ya.
She's
Bye-bye.
a sweetheart.
She is sweet, isn't she?
Yes, thank you for the conversation too. Uh-huh.
Well, she absolutely has Jesus in her heart.
Woo!
Say again?
She absolutely has Jesus in her heart. She's
Yeah.
just blinded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how we can pray for her.
Well, and that's where the point I was trying to make is not against anybody. Is just that we all as Americans have come in it a little bit different. Of even Christianity, very different on what exactly is right and wrong with each issue. And let's just say abortion, where I see Christians who don't even agree. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
as Americans, how do we all come together and have laws and rules and a morality that is for all of us?
That's
It's
that's
interesting.
the-
I don't
that's
have the answer.
that's
It's a
the kicker.
question.
Yeah,
It's the
there- yeah,
kicker.
no, I know. That's the kicker. I mean,
Well, I don't want to know what you've been through, but in a foxhole, everybody believes in Jesus. Oh, yeah.
Because we're all Americans. And we should all be loving each other.
And I am. I'm a believer.
I mean, I'm not a veteran, but I know and I can understand. And I couldn't even imagine what some people did. I have friends that we talk, and what's that guy's name? Aurora, the one that was in the shooting at Fort Hood.
I can't think of his name. I know he's
Aurora. But the one at Fort Hood, he got shot through the neck and it went out. People thought there was red ribbons going through his, because he was shot with a 45, and he actually, God told him to get up because he was on the ground. He said, God, get up. It wasn't for him, it was for his life. But he got up, the shooter came back, came face to face, and he didn't see him, God blinded him.
Oh, wow.
You should listen to his testimony.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
I guess Fort Hood survivor maybe would be a way to look it up. Fort Hood shooting survivor maybe.
But what God does, if you listen to his testimony and just the things that God does to him. His grandma told him when he was in Afghanistan to pray for him, and she gave him this big bottle of oil and he anointed him.
Oh, no, yeah.
And every time they went around, and then some guy goes, one of his friends, he goes, quit praying for us, we want some action. He goes, we want some action.
Hey, I got a question about your sign, first girl there. Yes, okay, I want to know. Have you been to California?
I have been. I used to live there.
Did you? I'm just curious. I just went there.
Oh, yeah? What part?
Well, we went down, and I'm not sure where all I went. I went to L.A. and all that. And we went down along the coast, and we just drove up to Washington, Oregon area.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
It's beautiful out there, and there are some, parts of California that are still kind of a red state, but I have a problem. I have a problem with the way that they handle the homeless population.
Oh my God! So
big
yes,
problem. Like my family's
yeah.
Okay, but that's where we migrated from. We came from the Ireland and the San Francisco.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that's where we're from. But and I have no problem with I got family in California and all that. But the politics and I can't say 100% I'm Republican because I'm right. There's a line.
Yeah.
There's a line. The abortion line's a very thick line.
Yeah.
So I just, so I'm all like, why can't we just be friends? Like, let's disagree.
Agree to disagree.
Right. Yeah.
How about that?
Like, I've got a lot of friends who are completely opposite than I am, and we can discuss it and not fight.
My best friend's a liberal.
See, yeah. My aunt actually blocked me on Facebook.
Oh
and
my
I'm
gosh.
like, come on.
Is she from California too?
She's in Oregon.
Oregon. Oh no, that might be worse. I don't know.
My mom is like, I love my sister. I love my sister.
I would love to go back to California. It was beautiful. I the people were
nice.
There's
a part of my soul that yearns for it, but I'm like, not right now.
So curious. Okay, we were just talking with a lady over there, and she mentioned about abortion too, and they were kind of discussing it. So, do you mind which way when you say it divides? I'm curious what you mean.
I think 6 weeks is ridiculous.
Okay.
Okay, I think 15 weeks is fair because that's when they start to feel pain. If it can feel pain, then it's a human being. If it can't, I'd pull a plug if you were in a coma and you were a vegetable. So I don't believe that you can't get. I believe that abortion should be allowed for incest, for rape, for medical conditions, okay? I don't think you should force me to have a kid that was forced on me. Now, is it the kid's fault? No, but that's between you and God.
Okay, when this truck is passed, I got a question for you.
Okay.
I'm curious what you think on something. I've been to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And I protested there.
Okay.
I talked to Antifa that has protested there.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've seen on YouTube the people protesting down there. You've seen all over. Okay.
Yes.
And I'm from Indiana.
Okay.
So I have a group there that they're very they're abolitionists of abortion.
Okay.
Okay. So I've seen the right side. I'm going to just call it right and left.
Right,
okay. Because
yeah.
it's easier for me. But so there's a side that is the pro-life side.
Right.
And they have such abysmal numbers, very small numbers. They can't get much support out. And yet the other side, the pro-abortion side, has a lot. And to me, I feel like this is just me, and you tell me if you think this has something to do with it. I have trouble, and I think a lot of people on the pro-life side have trouble going to these things because they turn into, first of all, a religious ceremony. And again, they are for abolishing, and a lot of us that are pro-life are still believing there have to be some exceptions.
There has to be some exceptions.
Do you believe that's
Yes.
what's causing the lack of support
Absolutely,
in the
because,
streets?
you know, you don't want to get out there. You don't want to fight. I had a lady.
Yeah, you're not gonna fight
I had a
over
lady
something you
over
don't believe
here
in.
that tried to, like, you know, I was like, "Don't touch me, my
Yeah,
friend."
yeah.
You know. So yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This is my first one. I probably wouldn't have done it if it wasn't in Bowie. Right? Because there is that fear factor. There is the fact that you know that antagonizers come in who don't care about either side. I mean, let's just say the fact that we all know we're being played by the government in some way or some form.
Right.
Okay? We all know this.
Oh, we all do,
Okay, so
yeah.
neither side is right. They're all
Both sides yelling
politicians.
about the government screwing us. So,
Right.
Right.
So let's agree not to, you know, to disagree, and let's agree to say that I want a free country, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, so let's agree on that. And now there is always two sides of every checkerboard. There is.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, there is no this is the way it is and this is the way that it is. There should be clauses for everything. Now, in the abortion's defense, in the Constitution, it says in the Constitution. If it's not in the Constitution, then it's up to each individual state.
Right.
It does not say abortion is our constitutional.
So you're
right.
good with the rights being back to states?
Well, because that's
Yes.
what it says in the Constitution.
Right. Me too. I'm with that
Right?
too. I think the
So
states should
you
have.
can get over that. And
Yeah.
if you need an abortion, travel. Do I think the 6 weeks is a little extreme? Do I think that you can't get an abortion for rape and incest and all that is a little extreme? I do.
Yeah.
But in the end, it is the state's rights. And if you start breaking up my Constitution, you start taking away my freedom. And if no one sees the long con here from the other country trying to weaken our men, trying to take away our population, trying to, you know, make our men have low testosterone.
Yeah.
So they can later take over our country, then y'all aren't seeing the long picture.
Yeah.
This is a long con. And
It is.
we have people inside of our own country fighting against us. And so if we, and the biggest thing they fear is us coming together.
Yeah.
If we join together, we are a force that can't be reckoned. But if they keep dividing us like we are, how was it? Who was it? Don't get me quoting wrong, but somebody said, divided they will fall.
Yes.
Okay.
United we stand, divided we fall.
And it
that kind
was,
of stuff. Yeah.
oh, who was that?
I see. I don't know.
I do know, but I don't know. But it's true, you know, and that's exactly what they're doing. That's the race war. There's no race war. I grew up. I'm generation, you know, X people.
I know.
We
They're
don't
trying
know
to divide
what
us
race
so
is.
badly. And then, so like did you ever hear, come out of that. Did you ever hear about the People's Convoy or the Freedom Convoy?
I went to part of it, yes.
To People's Convoy?
To the one that went to Washington and circled around.
Okay, yeah. I was in that.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it ended.
Right.
Okay, so a new group came out of that. It's called the 1776 Restoration Movement.
Okay.
I left them
Okay.
when they first started.
A little crazy?
A little crazy. But, so here's the question. I have friends that are there protesting against them in D.C.
Okay.
Because they're at D.C. at the National Lawn, I think. They're at the National
Okay.
Lawn. The reason they're protesting against them is because they're a patriot group, but they are keeping sex offenders living with the children.
Oh, no.
And so there's a group there that is protesting against that. And
Right.
I have been getting a lot of hassle for calling them out because, well, we should support them because they're ours, right? They're
Right.
ours.
No, I don't.
What do you think about something like that?
No, I don't. I mean, you can be my family and I don't support you. So
Yeah,
just
sex
because you're
offenders,
part
they
of
just never
no,
belong with
I
kids.
think forgive me. Okay, I'm about to say something. We should still do public hangings, and sex offenders should be one of them.
Yeah.
Cut down on that real fast.
Yeah.
So if you want to put me on the red side for that,
we call it the wood chipper.
yes. Thank you. So that's ridiculous.
It's now hashtag mow the lawn.
Leave my children alone. Leave my children alone.
Yeah.
Their sexuality, leave it alone. They're not even fully developed until they're 25 years of age. They're not even allowed to rent a car until they're 25 years of age. But at 18, you can vote, and at 18, you can join the military. But at 21, you have to wait until you're 21 to have a beer and a cigarette.
I was just
I
going
have
to
a
ask.
problem with
That's
that.
what I wanted to ask him. My question was, he said, Beto O'Rourke said, that he wants to raise the age to 21 for guns, right? Gun ownership.
Okay.
I wanted to know, are you also going to raise the age for people to go into the military? Because
Or-
we're going to take them at 18 and teach them how to use guns.
Or at 18,
And
if you're in the
shoot people.
military, then you should have the right to do the things of an adult. One or the
Exactly.
other. One
Are
or the
you-
other. If
are
you
you
show
an adult
if
or
you're an
not?
active ID of military, then fine. We can compromise.
Yeah.
Old Joe Blow over here doesn't need to be able to go get, alcohol and whatnot. But if you're serving my country and protecting my rights, then you should be able to be treated as such. Period.
How old are you guys? If you don't,
14 and
you're 16. I see. My youngest son is 21 now, and I was yelling at him because I said, you guys, even if you don't smoke or whatever, when they changed the law on how old you had to be to get cigarettes to 21, I'm like, why aren't you guys out in the streets yelling and screaming for real? Because they're taking away your rights, whether you want them or not. They're still your rights.
Exactly.
But he was like, I don't smoke, who cares? And I'm like, but wait.
You should care. You should care.
I'm not a Christian, but I fight for that freedom of religion.
Thank you, because that's what this country
I
was
fight for
based
that,
on.
man.
And you have every right to believe what you believe. Now, am I going to say, hey, Jesus, that's my job, okay? But you can look at me and say, I'm good, and I'm going to go, all right, God bless you.
I appreciate you talking to me.
God bless you.
What was your name?
I'm Jamie.
Jamie and Lori.
Lori, nice to meet you. You be safe.
It was nice. I'm glad that you went with the People's Convoy. That really was a really good
it was
experience,
amazing.
girl.
It was amazing.
It was awesome. Yeah. How far did you go with them?
I got all the way to Missouri.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was
we
going to
had
go
so
all
much
the way
fun.
up to Indiana.
Oh, I'm from,
Yeah, what part?
I'm from Goshen, Indiana. They stopped like 10 minutes from my house
Oh, yeah?
in New Paris,
Nice.
Indiana.
Yeah, I have a friend that's she's close to Indianapolis. She's in one of those little tiny towns.
Hey, she was with, I forgot already.
Jamie.
Jamie was with the People's Convoy there for a little bit.
Was you really?
Yeah.
I went all the way from to Missouri.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah,
y'all went
it
all the
was
way home,
amazing.
apparently.
I got all the way home. We went back to DC and then everything fell apart. So
Right, it started doing weird things.
It did. The leadership really screwed us on the pooch on that. But that's a whole different story.
Yeah,
but
that's a whole nother story.
it's a whole nother thing. But yeah. But that's where we met, and I met a lot of
nice.
people there, girls. So many wonderful people.
Right on. A little bit crazy.
We did
than
some
once,
work.
I'm sure.
I'm glad you came out. This is her first time protesting.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fun, huh?
It is fun.
It's fun.
I decided Bowie was a safe place.
Yeah,
For the first go round.
There you go. Get your feet wet and really. There you go.
Yeah. Well, he's from Bridgeport.
Okay.
So we came out here from Bridgeport. Something to do today.
Right.
Did you tell her about the Protect Texas Kids?
Oh
possibly,
no,
and looking
yeah,
into that?
check that out. It's called Protect Texas Kids.
Okay.
Go online and check them out, and on Facebook because they have a lot of things against like grooming kids. We went to a protest that they had about the sex changes, the medical sex changes. There's all kinds of stuff that they're doing. They actually had a trans guy there that had the top surgery
Wish he hadn't.
and
Wish he had.
Yep.
and wish he hadn't. Right. I said I wish I'd make my sign of gays against groomers, because I know I'm thinking about making that one and just sitting out and talking to people.
I have a problem with that because, at 4 years old, I'm pretty sure I thought I could still be a dog,
Yeah. Here,
Whoops, don't do that.
there we go. I'm gonna move over here so I'm out of your way.
Say no to Beto! Say no to Beto! Say no to Beto! Say no to Beto! Okay, so it's
Save Texas Kids. Protect Texas Kids.
Protect.
Texas Kids.
Yeah, 3 times fast.
Yeah,
Look
there
it
you
up
go.
because they have different events. Nice
And
people.
They give a lot of good information
Yeah.
as far as like maybe got something for them or something.
Okay.
If you wanna, check it out or whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will look that
It
up.
is nice.
Thank
right.
you. And what is your name?
Lori.
Lori.
Arnold. Look it up. You'll be on there
Oh, okay.
on my YouTube page.
I'll look that up.
See ya.
Lori.
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 Don't do Laura.
See ya.
Oh, there's a Beto for Texas. You parked right behind a Beto for Texas, dude.
I did.
So,
Y'all have a good day.
So the event's over. It looks like everybody's leaving. But we still have Beto in there. I think he's still in there. I'm going to go check and see if he's still in there or not.
He's still in there?
Yeah. Got to talk to some people. Let's see if Beto's...
No, there he is. I see
Is he still in there?
Yeah, I see him.
He's still in there. Beto. Just trying to see if Beto's still in there. Yeah, I think he is. Well,
yeah.
Should we stay for a little bit longer, or do you want to go? Oh, they look good. I want that sign. He's going to get in trouble for leaving that sign, so I'm going to take it. Can't leave your sign sitting there. But it is a good sign. When we leave, I'll take it with us so we can leave something.
What's that?
So we don't end up leaving something here. They don't. Well, should we leave or?
Yeah, I guess so. Go find something to eat.
Okay, guys, we're gonna go get something to eat. Gotta take this sign. I didn't get to ask my question, but we did get to meet some people and see what's going on. So, peace out.